Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. So right now I'm getting asked by quite a few friends what did I think of Taken 3, because it came out in the UK a few days ago, last Friday, which was I believe the 9th, or it was around then anyway. I went to see it yesterday, which was Saturday the 10th. And like I said, people wanting to know, is it worth going to the cinema to see? Because a lot of people were disappointed by the second one. I would say this is better than the second one, and I was fairly forgiving for the second one. A lot of people just hated on that film, and I can certainly see why, because the first one is awesome. It is just like such a roller coaster of just action and just emotions and all that stuff thrown in together. It was such a unique film. I say unique. I mean, we've had films like that before, so maybe it's not unique, but it was unique for an age where a lot of action films tend to be sort of your espionage thrillers. This should have been an espionage thriller given the character in it, but it was a very personal thing. You know, his daughter's been kidnapped just randomly. It wasn't like it was some conspiracy as such against him for who he is. So that first one was just like so good, and the second one just kind of was lesser emotional. It should have been really, but there's just something not quite there with the second one. The third one kind of picked it up slightly. And I do say slightly. One thing I was kind of wondering about the third film, would it be connected to him? Would it be connected literally to the first two films? Would it all be to do with the kidnap and the people that he kind of messed around with? It's not. It's not a continuation of that. It's very much to do with him, and I'm not going to give any major spoilers away, so don't worry. But the plot of the film is obviously, it's not just like the first one where stuff happens and he just happens to be this guy who can sort it all. In this, stuff happens to him and his wife because of who he is, basically. And there is a threat as well to his daughter. I'll go that far as well. So it keeps the theme of him protecting what he loves the most, that is his daughter. Now, one other thing, if you've seen the trailer, it's no secret. His wife dies. That's no secret going into this. If you consider that a spoiler, seriously, you should have known better than to watch this video, because it's in the trailer, for God's sake. Everybody knows that's what happens. This film is pretty much like The Fugitive. But like I said, the point is, people have been sort of saying, well, why is this Taken? Because nobody specifically gets taken in this film. Well, you could kind of say, well, his wife's life gets taken, I suppose. That's kind of pretty a stretch, but there's before she gets killed, she is technically taken. You know, she's kidnapped. But yeah, it's not like the others where there's a kidnapping, there's a hostage situation as such. There's times in it when that happens, but that's not the general theme. It's like The Fugitive, if you've seen that film, with Harrison Ford, which I think came out in 93, around about then. And it's like The Fugitive, but nowhere near as good. And it's nowhere near as good as the first Taken film as well. So I don't know if this is going to be the last film in the series. I kind of imagine that it will be, but we'll see about that. It's one of them things where the first is the highlight and the others just kind of are okay. Reminds me of the Death Wish film series from the 70s and 80s, which had actor Charles Bronson in it. The first film was very, it wasn't, I wouldn't say that was unique as such. It was one of those kind of like Dirty Harry kind of films. And the sequels were just kind of felt fairly straight to video. I think they did come out in the cinema, but that's what I would say about Taken 2 and 3. They don't feel straight to video, but I wouldn't worry if you missed this in the cinema. I would have happily waited to have seen the third one. It just happened to be, you know, kind of fancied going to the cinema that day. That's why I went to see it. The second film I didn't get to see in the cinemas, and I didn't regret it. So if you're wanting to know, is this a good film? It's okay. It's very average. I would give it 5 out of 10, which is average. That is, you know, middle of the road, basically. There's a couple of things in this that kind of annoyed me a bit. You could tell that it was edited, and when I say edited, I mean censored, to make it a 12. Which is kind of annoying, really, because the cinema was kind of full of younger people, and they were kind of talking all the way through it. We had some teenage girls sat behind us, and they were like, "Oh, he's dead. Oh, he's been shot. Oh, she's in hospital." It's like, yes, we know. We don't need the commentary. So when you go see a film like this, it does tend to have a lot of like younger people in it. But the film itself, anyway, maybe that's kind of going off on one a bit. But the film itself being censored, kind of took away from it because it was, I think, the first one, the action in the first one, particularly if you buy it on DVD or Blu-ray, you get the extended harder cut. This one, it felt like it had been like edited in such a way, and then they'd censored bits out of it after they'd already edited it. So you could see when somebody was like swearing and saying the F word, they kind of cut it down, and so the lips were saying one thing, the dialogue was saying something else, and you could tell that during like the fight scenes as well. Certain bits just kind of just cut out, and I hate when they do that. It's like if you're gonna edit something together, don't then censor it afterwards. Edit it and release it as you know. But I guess they want to make money off these things. Get more bums in seats, make it a 12. You get like a younger crowd in as well, make more money off it in the cinema. So they'll probably release an uncut version or an extended harder cut on DVD or video. I imagine. I don't think that was the case with the second film. I think what you got in theaters was pretty much what you got on video. Could be wrong about that, but so that was just one gripe about this. There were a few other things that kind of confused me as well. Was the timeline of this thing, because basically, again, without getting into major spoilers, shit goes down. His wife gets killed. Again, I don't consider that a major spoiler because it's in the trailer. But like I say, shit goes down. And then he basically says, "Well, I'll give me 48 hours, and I will crack the case. You don't have to arrest me. I will solve the murder for you, and I'll give you the guys that did it within 48 hours." But within all this happening, his wife's funeral takes place, and it's like that doesn't really happen. So it kind of confused me. I mean, movie magic, all that kind of stuff. Okay, we're just gonna have a funeral within then. Fine, don't sweat it. It's a film. But it kind of left me confused. It's like, is this still within 48 hours? Because, like I say, funerals don't usually take place till about a week after. Just from a practicality point of view, you want to invite people. You don't want to do it like 2 days after. Especially when it's a sudden death as well. You need to kind of alert people. You need to make sure everybody knows before you have the funeral. But even more so when there's been a murder and the suspect, is there's an investigation going, and you don't release the body, for a long time. So funerals don't generally take place within 48 hours. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions, but it just kind of confused me, the timeline of this thing. And there's a lot of kind of contrived stuff as well, where I'll kind of give a bit of a spoiler away without saying too much about it. But there's basically a bit where Liam Neeson's kind of giving his daughter a load of instructions, and he gives her this drink which will then make her sick, and based on that, he will then be in the toilet when she's been sick, at the place and time where she's been sick, in the cubicle that she's going to run into. Now, that was contrived to me. It's like, how did he know she was going to go into that specific toilet and in that specific cubicle? Could he not have just, instead of giving her that drink, just said, go into this cubicle at such and such a time and eat the message or something, so that, there's nobody else will read it or whatever, Again, it just kind of felt a bit stupid, and I feel this is kind of maybe nitpicking, but I think this film should be smarter than that, The first one was very kind of, it explained everything, like why he was doing everything, how he did things. I mean, it had its, flaws like any other film would, but this film just seemed a little bit dumber, maybe a lot dumber, to be honest. So those are a couple of little things that I picked out of it, but I'm not going to just keep going on, because there's lots of stuff like that you can kind of nitpick, but overall, the general tone of the film, it wasn't as emotional as that first one was, which I think you're just going to get. I mean, it's like we've seen this guy go through hell in the first film. You can't really top that. I mean, having your daughter kidnapped by a sex slave ring and having the police not want to get involved and stuff, and have this massive conspiracy, doesn't really get much worse than that. So, but having said that, it was watchable. I found it watchable. I didn't regret going to see it. It wasn't like Die Hard 5, where I just thought, oh God, what a terrible film, what an insult to the others. It was okay. It was better than the second one. So, maybe wait for video. If you just want to go to the cinema because there's nothing else on, by all means go see it. I wouldn't sort of say you'll regret it, but at the same time, I wouldn't recommend watching it just because, I didn't feel like it had added anything to this. I don't know, like I say, if they're going to do any sequels off the back of this. I'm sure it'll make money with this film just because, hey, it's a Taken film, everybody likes Taken. But I think at this point in the series is really kind of, you got two fairly average, maybe less than average films and one really good film. So I think at this point, it's a series that's kind of sinking a little bit, just because it's being outweighed by kind of rubbishy sequels. So the original one is kind of getting buried underneath that. Anyway, that's my review. I can't really say much more on that. I think if I do, I'm just going to kind of ramble on, so I'll cut it short there. First film of the year that I've seen, anyway, but at the cinema, that is. So if you want to get more reviews of other upcoming films, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I tend to review films when I've seen them at the cinema, and just kind of let you know, is it worth going to see? Because like I said, I had quite a few people asking, is it worth watching? So brandxreviews.com, that is the website. Like I say, you can subscribe to our YouTube page or our Facebook page as well, and get further updates as other stuff comes out. So I will leave it there. Thank you very much for watching.